Welcome back, everyone. This morning we're joined by another candidate in the race for governor.
Republican Dan Proft joins us live this morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's first talk about the ethics reform here in Illinois and your response to Kirk Dillard. What do you have to say about that?
Well, Senator Dillard introduced the kind of ethics reform, quote unquote, that we see come out of politicians from Springfield like he has been for the last 15 years. I mean, it's not really reform. He talks about, oh, I'm not going to have any fundraisers in Springfield. Yeah, big deal. The special interests obviously know where to find Senator Dillard. He's taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from the public sector unions that have been the bulwarks against reform in this state when it comes to all the big ticket items in state government that are financially unsustainable. So this is more kind of press release governance, and it's not where the Republican Party needs to be if we're going to present a contrast to voters so they understand the choice before them in this critical election.
Well, what makes you think you can get that reform when the current administration, with the backing of the Democrats, they can't get that reform?
Well, I don't think it's a reform. I mean, I think a lot of what has been proposed, some of the transparency stuff I certainly agree with, but like campaign contribution limits, I think it's a mirage. That is really not going to fundamentally change the political culture in Springfield. I mean, as we've seen at the federal level, campaign contribution limits serve only to protect incumbents, and it certainly hasn't done anything to root out corruption at the federal level. It's a misdirection play for people who don't want to talk about the big ticket systems in state government, our job, our economic climate that's driven by our tax and spend and borrow policy, our K-12 education systems, Medicaid, and transportation. If you want to reform Illinois, you need to be talking about system change with those big ticket items.
Both the Democrats running for governor, we're talking about the current governor, Quinn, they both want to raise taxes in order to balance the budget. What's your thoughts about this, including Dan Hines?
Yeah, it's an absolutely wrong thing to do. I mean, Illinois is already the 48th ranked economy in the country the last 10 years. We've created less jobs than every other state in the nation except for Ohio and Michigan. All you do by raising taxes on work, which is what income taxes are, you get less of it, you get more people leaving this state, and we already have businesses and families fleeing the state like it's on fire. My opponents in this race think it's okay just to oppose the tax increases. I don't. I think we should cut the state income tax by 50%, cut the corporate income tax by 50%, and zero out the state estate tax.
Let's talk about another one of your key positions, and that is on education. You believe in charter schools?
I believe in that in addition to a whole lot of other things. I mean, charter schools is a first step in a journey of 1,000 miles. What we really should do is change how the money flows in this state to K-12 and change who gets to make spending decisions. Stop funding centralized bureaucracies like the Chicago public school system and start investing in families so they can choose where their child gets educated.
You use vouchers?
I would use opportunity scholarships for any low to moderate income family who frankly right now, whose child is relegated to schools we know will fail them. They need to have the same choices that my parents had for me, that Barack Obama has had for his children.
Let's talk about the health care reform bill. Obviously, even if you were elected governor, you're not going to have a vote per se in Congress. Right. However, you still are able to talk to a lot of these lawmakers. You have a pulse on Washington, D.C. What's your thoughts about the current health care reform bill right now as it stands?
Well, what the president has proposed would be a disaster to this country. I mean, for a government takeover of 14% of our economy, for a government management of a system as critical as the quality of care that people have access to, it's exactly the wrong way to go. We need to be looking at market-oriented reforms that deal with some of the real problems in healthcare, folks with pre-existing conditions, the chronically uninsured. You can address those real problems within our healthcare system without having the government come over the top and take the whole thing over.
All right, Dan, thanks for making time for us.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Running for governor.